This is the E-Riders channel. Today we're going to be going over the KBO electric bike hitch rack. Okay, so here it is. This is what the box looks like when it comes in. It's in a medium-sized box. Now don't let that fool you. It is a little heavy. I want to say thanks to KBO because this is here courtesy of KBO so that we could do this review on the E-Rider channel. So we're just going to go ahead and open up the box and we're going to show you some of the components and the parts and pieces that are inside. Everything's pretty much wrapped up in plastic wrap, cable ties, and cardboard. No styrofoam, surprisingly. So with the manual, we felt like it was definitely needed in certain areas where it comes to like the nuts and bolts and where those go. But for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just by looking at the parts, you kind of already have an understanding of where everything's supposed to go. And here's some information at the bottom and also on their website. And let's go to the website right now. So if you look at the website, it talks about the size. So you got the measurements. It's for also 2-inch hitch, max tire width. So this is for a fat tire, not just a wide tire, which are KBO tires. Maximum payload capacity and whatnot. And so these are the parts kind of laid out in the arrangement in which they would be put together. And so we're gonna just use that as a layout of when we put it together. So we have basically the brackets and the hardware and the cross beams, and then the part that goes into the receiver on the towing hitch. Again, like I said, pretty simple. There's the little tire boots, and so it's. I'm glad to see that these also will accommodate the fat tires. So if you have a lot of e-bikes with thin tires and fat tires, it will work. So we start by putting on the rear wheel boot. It has a strap. We want to make sure the buckle for the strap is on the outside where the bar is, where you can lift up the bar. And then you put this screw in the only hole that's on the side of that bar. And when you tighten in that screw actually prevents that little boot, the strap boot, from sliding out off the bar. And we'll show that to you right here. And that screw stops it from going all the way off the bar. So we're going to do the other small rear tire boot on the other crossbar. Put that in there. You do kind of have to tap them in, but it gets in there pretty easy. You don't need a hammer or anything like that. So again, there's that little hole for the only screw to put in on the bar like that. Again, you want to make sure that buckle is on the side where you have the bar that swings up and down, because that's the side you're going to be working with, so you'll always have that buckle on your side so you can adjust it. And again, same thing, look where that bar is. Now this you can do pretty easy just by setting it on top and then tipping it over. It should stay on, but they give you bolts to screw in and it'll stay on that way. But you've got some washers, put the washers on, put the screws on. Be very careful because you could force that. This is for the front tire boot, and we just tighten it up. Go ahead and hold it if you can, that way you don't force it through, but just tighten it. And you can get to a point where you just kind of swing it open like that. Just swing the wrench around. Makes it a lot easier. Alright, so we're going to do the other front boot. Again, making sure when you put them on that the tall side of the boot is on the inside of the rack and the small end is on the outside of the rack. You can just tip it over and then again place the screws and tighten them up. Like I said, generally it seems really easy to put it together. There's not a lot of pieces. It's just really understanding the placement of the parts, where they should be facing. And the manual is great for that. You get an idea of where the pieces should be facing. So we have the two main crossbars all set to go. And now we want the brackets. There's 4 brackets. There's a top bracket and a bottom bracket. As you can see, the bottom bracket will have that fitted nut that it's threaded, and that's going to be in the bottom. And you want to line it up, the opening window of the brackets, with the yellow sticker that's on the crossbar on both the top and bottom. And basically, this hitch rack has pretty much centered the parts for you. It's saying, hey, this yellow sticker is the center, level it up with the brackets and you're good to go. So you just put it on top of the, you put the crossbar on top of the main bar, and you can pretty much thread start to thread the bolts with your finger, really, with the screw with your finger. But you'll have to tighten it up later, obviously. Now, it is a little heavy, so you might have it sliding on you, and you might misalign it just a little bit. So before you tighten it, you might have to, recheck it a couple times and make sure it is still, level and lined up with the yellow. So as you can see, the bottom one has kind of slid down a little bit. So we're going to slide that back up in a second here. We're just going to get it just snug enough to where we can slide it, but it won't slide too much. And then we'll tighten it down. All right, so let's get a better view of the bottom. There we go. We're going to center it right there. Now you can tighten. So that's really good. There's no guesswork, no measuring. They put that yellow sticker there to help with the alignment of the crossbar. And time for the next crossbar. Now take note that the swinging handlebars that we have, the bottom bar, it's facing toward you, and on the top bar, crossbar, that swinging handlebar is facing the vehicle, or facing toward where you would put it into the receiver, the hitch. That way you can get behind the crossbar and use it on either side, because you do have some space between your vehicle and the first crossbar. So here we are tightening up. Again, you can just, with your fingers, using the screw, just kind of get it started. And I actually, if you have any Loctite, go ahead and maybe use some of that stuff on there. Keep in mind, as you're driving, there will be a lot of vibration. So with vibration, things tend to loosen. So if you have any Loctite to put around the threads to keep these screws in place, definitely take advantage of that. All right, so we're going to check. We're a little off in the bottom. All right, we're going to center that. And we know it's center on the top. All right, so we're going to tighten it down. All right, that's it. We're double checking the top crossbar. As you can see, there really wasn't much to it. It was really an easy installation. Again, take note of that layout. Each of those swing bars that they're away from each other. One's toward the vehicle, and the other one is toward the street. See right there. You want those on the outside of each crossbar, and they are adjustable too. This is how you get to tighten down the bike. There's a little button, release button. So we're gonna put it into the receiver and line up the hole. This is where you have to get it just right. And with the hole, we got the large bolt that came with the hardware and a couple washers. Just feed it through, and depending on the size of the hole you have, you might have to thread it a little bit, just so you can get it to go out through the other side, so you can put the pin through. We're threading it through, and we put the little pin to secure it. All right, it's attached. Now there is a lever that you can adjust it in 3 different angles. You have upward if you're not using it, you can keep it out of the way. And there's a pin that you can put there to prevent it from going through its other angles. So the other angle is the flat angle in which you'd be transporting it. It'd be flat just like that. And the last one, the third one, is downward so that you can easily load it. So here we have a couple of KBO bikes. We have the white step through and then the black standard. We do recommend removing the battery. We're not going to remove the battery because we're really not going on a long trip. We're just going around the neighborhood. But removing the battery will make the bike lighter and also possibly even prevent it from being stolen. So we put each tire in each bootstrap, and we're going to try a couple methods. Here we're showcasing the method of where we're just tightening down or strapping down the tires first. We're doing that just by standing in front of the bike so it doesn't fall down, because right now the bike is at an angle, so we're using our own body to keep it from tipping over. This is one way of putting it on, and another way is just actually putting the bar, the swing bar, and tightening it down on the bike first so that you can tighten up the tire bootstraps. And we're going to try a couple ways. One way would be just strapping it down on the middle, the lowest part of the frame in the middle. Again, you just slide it down and it locks in place. That's one way. Another way that a lot of people do it, that might even be illustrated in the manual, is on the tire. Now, here is the issue where we come across is that we have fenders, and fenders do tend to bend, so we don't want to put it on the fender. So we put it right there in front of the fender on the tire, and of course when you tighten it down, it pulls the bike inward toward the center. So we decided to try the tire method to see what it would be like. Now we do test it out later. Here we put the next bike on. Again, if you're dealing with KBO bikes, KBO Breeze bikes are approximately 62 pounds with the battery. If you take the batteries out, batteries are probably around 8 or 9 pounds. So without the batteries, it'll be a lot easier to lift onto the bike. Again, we're just doing the tire bootstraps. And we're trying different methods, and we're going to test to see which method is easiest. So we have them both on there. It looks good. It's a good space between both bikes. Now this is where, like I said, those swinging bars are on the front tires. So now we're doing a shake test, and we're not happy with what we're seeing. We don't like the way it's swinging just by moving it a little bit. We're actually worried that the two bikes might actually touch each other in the center. So we decided, well, maybe we should put the swinging crossbars in the middle of the bike, of the frame, to keep them from possibly touching each other and swinging as much as they are. Remember, you want the lowest part of the frame. Might have to move the pedal out of the way and cinch it down as much as possible. It's not going to go anywhere. Some people tend to use a towel when they, on their bike frame and the swinging bar. Now it does have a sort of hard rubber grip on those handles, but some people could put a little towel, just because that little plastic rubber piece right there does tend to wear over time. So if you wanted to put a little towel between that and the bike, it'll last a lot longer and definitely not scratch anything. So now we did a little test where we move it around a bit, and it is a lot more solid than it was before. Definitely feel safer driving it around. So here we put another test. We kind of knew the hitch wouldn't open with the bike hitch rack leveled like that. So this is where the angling it downward comes into play. So not only for easy loading, but if you need access to your vehicle, your hatch, you can easily throw things in and take things out just by lowering the bike rack. And then you just go to the other side and you pull it back up. It's not going to be light, especially with two bikes. Two bikes will be very heavy to lift it back up, so you might need some help. But it's doable. And there it is. So we took it for a little drive, and we wanted to see if we can hit some bumps, hit some tight turns, and just see if we have any large wobbling or concerns. Again, we have the swing bars tightened in the middle of the bike, not on the tire. A few bumps, looks good. Tight turn and a huge bump from construction there on the road. Yeah, it looks great. It's definitely holding up very well. And I can see out the back of my window. I do have a little bit of the bike sticking out each tire on the side. Not much, but a little bit. Keep that in mind. And we're just taking it off real quick. One bike at a time. So when you're done and your bikes are unloaded, we were thinking of a way to keep or prevent the swinging bar from hitting the vehicle while driving. Of course, that's if you decide to keep the bike rack on there. If you're going to, take your bikes out every now and then, because it would be a pain to, keep attaching the bike rack. So, yeah, here's a clever way, just using the tire bootstraps to secure the swinging bars. And then here's the website. I gave you a website where they are selling their electric bike hitch. It's going for $389, and it is in stock. And definitely, if you have a family of e-bikes, fat tire or wide tire, this is something you definitely want to have in your arsenal. And again, please like and subscribe. It keeps the channel going. I do appreciate all the support. And we have a lot of adventures planned now since we have the rack. So be sure to watch out for those future videos. And this is Nelson. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.